Hi everyone, Forge from Iron. I'm Gatesy Duke, sitting over there in the corner on in the naughty step, whatever. We are joined by Irish Tommy. How are you, sir?
Very well, thanks. Yeah, and looking forward to this. It's the first time I've done one of these, so I've never done one on my own. I've never been on another show where we've done one. So, and I haven't prepared. So this is on the fly. So anything could happen. I don't know what I'm gonna say when we bring up players.
That's what we like.
and see where what category we're gonna put them in. So, yeah, it's the first for me. I'm looking forward to this.
We like a bit of jeopardy here, don't we, Duke?
Yeah, I think the as we said before, the unplanned stuff is normally the better stuff. So no, welcome, Tom. It's good to finally meet you and be able to have a conversation with you, buddy.
Yeah, it's nice to meet both of you as well. Obviously, I know of both of you, or certainly Gatesy. So he pops up a lot of places. Rob, me and Rob have interacted quite a lot in live chats.
When my internet's behaving, or when I'm on the right computer, like what happened the other week, that was horrible. That was horrible.
Yeah, but we haven't
blamed my internet, but it wasn't. It was the laptop. The laptop was just shit. So,
yeah,
you know,
me and Gatesy have interacted before in live chats on different channels. So it's great to finally kind of meet you kind of face to face, as it were, as much as face to face as you can get under COVID restrictions. But
it is at the minute, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward. One beautiful, warm, hopefully, day in Stratford. I'll get to meet a lot of the people that I interact with on here in person, and really looking forward to that. But for the time being, I guess this will have to do.
It's the next best thing. So, okay. Well, before we get into it, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to do my usual shout out to Isla's Army. If you don't know who Isla Caton is, she's a 6-year-old girl. She is suffering with neuroblastoma, which is a really rare form of cancer that particularly affects children. There is no treatment for this on the NHS in this country at all. Her family have to put their entire life on hold and cart this poor little girl all over the world, wherever she can get treatment, Barcelona, United States, wherever. So this is something that obviously is going to cost a lot of money, as well as the stress and all the rest of it. And, you know, the fact it's coming in the middle of a global pandemic makes it even more tricky. All we're asking, guys, if you've got any spare change, anything that you can add into the kitty, you've got a PayPal link there, you've got a Just Giving link there. Please give generously. As I say, if just imagine that this was your child, God forbid, your grandchild, God forbid, whatever, any small child in your family, I think you'd want some sort of assistance if it could be given. And like I say, if all you can give is £1, that's fantastic. Even if you can't give that, if you can share this just to raise some awareness and try and build a little bit of momentum for this poor little girl. Thank you very much indeed for listening. Okay, so Tommy, we have 25 players sitting right there in West Ham's first team squad, just so that the people watching at home know what this is. We've got 4 tiers that these players can be popped into at your leisure. You are David Moyes in the summer and you are making a decision on who goes where. The top tier is long-term future, so players you envisage you're going to stay at the club for 3 seasons and beyond, all things being well. The next tier down is 1 or 2 seasons at best. But after that, they're probably going to be moving on. Next tier down is reserved for players that you're not too sure about one way or the other. And the final tier right at the bottom is see ya. So players that you are going to wave a cheery goodbye to. Thanks for your service, but on your way. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get it on. So first player on the list is Felipe Anderson.
Yeah, this is a gimme. Starting me off with a nice, easy one. Unfortunately, it has just not worked out for Felipe whatsoever at West Ham. Despite the fact his first season actually was decent, even though he did blow hot and cold a bit. When he was hot, he was really, really good. And I honestly expected Felipe to push on in his second season under Pellegrini and be even better. And for some reason, which I'll never understand, the wheels just came off. And I don't know what it is with him, because it's not a talent issue, obviously. So it's obviously something in his head. I don't know what the cause of it is, but it hasn't worked out whatsoever. He's even gone to Porto, where you thought he would have a great chance of fitting in. I mean, they speak Portuguese like him.
Yeah.
The very similar culture. And you thought, Porto might be a really good move for him, and it's just been a nightmare. So clearly, there's something very, very wrong there, and I just don't see how there's any way back for him at West Ham. It's a see ya.
Yeah, I don't think there's too many players too many people that have done this so far that's disagreed with you there, Tom. I mean, you're right. I mean, he's a supremely talented, skillful footballer, and yet for some unfathomable reason, and I think you're right. I don't think it's ability. I think it's a mental problem. I seriously do think there's something that's not quite right, and he just seems to have lost all confidence, all faith in his ability. And you're right, he's gone to Porto. You'd have thought, well, he's not going to struggle with the language. The culture should be fairly similar to what he's used to. I think he's only played 2 games this calendar year, the last of which was the beginning of February, lasted 57 minutes, and he hasn't been seen since.
Yeah, he's been left out of their last 2 squads, and
mad.
So it doesn't look good for him, and it's a shame because, was he 28? He's should be in the absolute prime of his career, should be at his peak, should be a player who really should be at one of the top European clubs potentially, given his ability. He's a player that should be lauded really as a tremendous winger and a real threat to any opponent. So it's a pity. It's a pity because he's just, we've seen it with a lot of players that have all the talent in the world, and there's just something not right in their head, and they just waste their talent. And it's a shame for Felipe because it doesn't need to be like this.
No, I completely agree. It is a shame.
Before, though, haven't we? We've had a couple of players in our past that, like you say, have had the talent, have had literally the world. I mean, one wasn't so long ago in Ravel Morrison. He had the world at his feet, but there was something that was just, it's like a switch, isn't it? Rhys Oxford was another young lad that had all the talent in the world, had a path set out in front of him, for a fantastic footballing career. And then something goes here, I think Rhys Oxford, we gave him the £35,000 a week contract, and he thought he'd made it. He'd done everything he needed to do. I'm not saying that that's the case with Anderson, but, is it a case that he thinks he's better than, his situation, if you will? Like, he came to West Ham, he spent that first season, like I say, time where he was absolutely outstanding. He put in some performances that made us all sit up and take note. The guy couldn't defend for Toffee, which, proved his, I think, in my opinion anyway, proved his downfall. He didn't track back as much as I think we would have liked him to. But yeah, I just think there's something going on up top that doesn't allow him to see the bigger picture, if you will.
Yeah, another thing, actually, the thing that really annoyed me about Anderson, as much as I wanted to like him, because I don't think he's a bad guy or anything like that. He was never an issue with the club, never threw his ties out the pram or anything like that. So I think he's a nice guy, but there was just an obvious lack of commitment there. Like, the amount of 50-50 challenges I saw him pull out of was shocking.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about, old style 50-50 challenges where you're going in hard, 2 players going off the ground like we used to have. We're talking about on your feet, just sticking the foot in to try and win the ball away. And he just had no interest in those challenges.
No.
There was a game, I think last season, away to Liverpool, Anfield, and there was a 50-50 challenge. I can't remember who with, over on the wing. It was a soft 50-50, just 2 players putting their foot in while on their feet just to nick the ball away, and he didn't want to know. And the Liverpool player won it uncontested, really, and passed the ball to Firmino, who flashed a shot just wide. We almost conceded from it, and I think that was the moment where I was actually done with Anderson, where I thought, like, if you can't even commit to that in a game, then you're of no use to us. And there's absolutely no way in hell David Moyes would tolerate that. So he's got no chance at West Ham.
No, I think you're spot on there, Tommy. 100%.
How much do you think we could get for him, boys? If we do sell him in the summer, how much do you think realistically we could get for him?
We're going to take a huge loss on Anderson. That's if we can sell him. I mean, this loan spell at Porto is not a good look for him.
No.
If this is a player who's looking to find a new club, he's not done himself any favours at Porto, and he certainly hasn't done us any favours. So it might not be as easy as we think to sell him.
Yeah, true.
So it's one thing to say we'll take a hit, but we may be stuck with him, because I'm not sure if I'm the manager of a club. I mean, what would it take for me to want to pay money for this guy right now? But to answer the question, I think if we do manage to find a suitor, I think we're just going to have to flog him. It's going to be in the £15 million region.
I think we might be lucky to get that, quite
I was
honestly.
going to say,
I agree. I may even be optimistic on that, but because, like I say, we might not be able to ship him at all.
I mean, the thing is that he went to Porto. I think his stock was pretty low then, and it's even lower now. And the thing is that he's only going to go if the buying club are going to meet his wage demands, and that's the problem. Who's going to pay what he's on at West Ham? In the sort of in the condition that he's been in the last year, 18 months. I just can't see anyone's going to. If we do, it will have to be that we'll probably have to make up the shortfall in his wages, which again is just
we could be in
always happen to us.
Yeah, we could be in a Wilshere situation again here.
Yeah,
we may have to literally buy out his contract and just let him walk.
Well, there's another one later on in this tier system, Tommy. I think the very last one on the list is going to be a very similar situation.
Well.
Yeah, and you're right, Gatesy. You could get away as a player. Anderson could get away with having a bad time at one club, right? So if he'd come to West Ham, didn't work out for whatever reason, you could still find another club, because it happens to a lot of players. It just doesn't work out at a particular club. But the fact that he's gone to Porto and it's been an absolute disaster at Porto as well. Because listen, the buying club are going to call the president of Porto, speak to him, maybe speak to the manager and say, "Listen, what's the deal with this guy?" I don't imagine he's going to get a glowing reference.
No.
So we're in a spot of bother with him. Like, it's one thing that we could lose our shirt as regards what we have to sell him for, but the other thing we have to worry about is that we may not be able to sell him at all.
Yeah. Fun and games. On we go to the next one. So, Mikhail Antonio.
Mikhail. I love Mikhail Antonio. Look, he's not among the most talented players we've ever had, but we love a Troyer at West Ham. We love someone who puts everything in for 90 minutes every game, and Antonio does that. And I don't mean to belittle his talent. It's not like I'm not saying he has no ability. He does have ability, and he's a nightmare when he's on his game. He's a nightmare for centre backs to deal with. And he's been brilliant for us since the lockdown, really. His form has been sensational. It's a pity about his injuries. It must be very frustrating for him as much as it is for us. But he's a brilliant lad. And Mick, and I think everybody at the club loves him. All the fans, I think, just love Mick. And, he's been fantastic for us. I can't fault the guy. Despite, there may be a lack of technical ability there or whatever, but he's not getting any younger, and he is injury prone already, and that's something that may become even more of an issue as he gets older. So, unfortunately for me, he's in the 1 or 2 more seasons category. I think that's the most we could get out of him, is another maybe next season, and the season after at a push. So 1 or 2 more seasons for Mick, I'm afraid. I don't see him featuring for us beyond that.
Yeah, no, I think that's an entirely fair assessment, Tom. I mean, you say he's 30, going on 31. He's got questions over his injury record. I think with the best will in the world. I mean, but it's a contrast, isn't it? We've gone from, you said about Anderson not basically trying, and that being something that West Ham fans absolutely cannot abide. And then the very next player is the total opposite in his in his work rate, his sort of endeavour. 2 complete opposites, and we love one player and the other one, it's like, And you're right, we do as a West Ham player, West Ham fans, we want to see, just to put a trier. Simple as that. Nothing more, nothing less. Yes, we want it aligned with skill. Don't get me wrong, but you've got one player there in Anderson that's got all the skill in the world and doesn't try a leg, like you say, pulling out of 50-50s. I don't think I've ever seen Mikhail Antonio pulling out of a 50-50, and yet he's not got probably half the skill that Antonio's got. But as far as the West Ham support is concerned, straight shootout between Antonio and Anderson. There's one winner.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm 45 now. I've been a West Ham fan since I was a kid, a long time, and we've always been this way as a fan base. Listen, we haven't been a club that wins trophies left, right, and centre, and it's a lot of glory coming our way, but we've always loved players that will put a shift in, that will run and run and run and will try. Even if they're not the most talented in the world. We've had players who've been really, really kind of bang average players, but we've loved them because they give everything every time they cross the white line. Snodgrass, for example.
Yep.
We all know, look, Snodgrass isn't the most talented player in the world. But we all have a lot of affection for Snoddy, and when he left, we all wished him well. And we all, remember, got behind Snoddy when, was it Sullivan said was it his not sign him and all that shit? And we all rode in behind Snoddy because he's very popular at West Ham, and that's because he gave everything. He always put a shift in the pitch. All right, he might not have always been particularly effective, but you could see that the effort was there. It wasn't because his attitude was wrong or something like that. So, and Mick is like that. So we've always loved, particularly players who maybe aren't so great, but you can see what it means to them, that they really want to be at the club and they want to do their best for the team and for the fans, and we always will love players like that, I hope. And Mick is one of those, albeit he has talent as well. Yeah.
No, I completely agree with you there, Tom.
Yeah.
No problem. Next player on the list, and we know we're aware, I think, of his future, but Fabian Balbuena.
Yeah, well, look, I'm going to ignore what we know, and that he has decided himself that he's leaving, because then it would be, just chuck him and see you because he's leaving. So I'll ignore that because this is supposed to be, I guess, about what I think of the player. So I like Balbuena. I think he's a really good centre-back. I think he's been a little unfortunate this season, actually. He wasn't first choice at the start of the season. It was Ogbonna and Diop who started. Then obviously Diop came down with COVID, so Balbuena got chucked in, and I thought he did a tremendous job alongside Ogbonna. They were a really strong partnership. And then, of course, he picks up an injury, and then up steps Dawson for England. And just has been unbelievable alongside Ogbonna. So I'm not sure what happened between then and when Ogbonna got injured, because Diop was brought back in. So the pecking order at centre-back seems to be kind of all over the place at the minute. Everyone's getting a chance. And so I thought Balbuena might come back. I think maybe he wasn't available when Ogbonna went down. Is that right? I think he had a knock or something.
I think didn't he have a positive COVID test as well?
Was it the COVID? I couldn't quite remember. Yeah, it was a COVID test. So it might just be unfortunate timing, because he may well have gotten back in ahead of Diop again, and he might be in there now playing really well alongside Dawson. So he's a little unlucky, but I like Balbuena.
Well, if things had worked out differently, Tom, if you remember, he was the one that when Ogbonna got the injury at Old Trafford, it was Balbuena that was coming on. But apparently he felt something, I don't know if it was his hamstring or his calf, so I understand. And then David Moyes has gone, okay, Diop, on you go. And the rest is history, as they say.
Yeah, like I say, I think he has been a little unfortunate to not play so many games. I mean, look, we didn't know Dawson was going to come in and be brilliant. If Dawson had come in and hadn't been particularly great, I mean, Balbuena would almost certainly be in there now playing game after game, and maybe he'd be thinking he'd stick around because he feels like maybe he's cemented his place as one of the two centre-backs. But unfortunately for him, Dawson has been brilliant, and then he's picked up the COVID thing, and so Diop is in now, and by the time he's kind of back ready to go, we'll have Oggy back in training probably, and he'll be getting ready to come back in. So I can understand why he's decided to move on. Sorry, I can't see the list at the moment. I can only see myself.
Hang on.
So I'm trying to think
I'll help
about
you out there.
He's still relatively young, Balbuena, and I like him. So I would still consider him to have a long-term future at the club.
He turns
Myself.
30 in August, Tom.
Yeah, that's young enough for a centre-back.
Yeah, yeah.
I could see him doing 3 more seasons at West Ham. Okay, he might not always be a regular starter, but as a member of the squad, I certainly think Balbuena has 3 good seasons in him, and I think he's good enough at this level to be a backup centre-back. I'd be very happy in any game if we needed him to see him coming in. So, and I like him. I think he's a really good centre-back. So I think he should have a long-term future. We know he doesn't, but I think he's very capable of having a long-term future at the club.
So you think he's going to go in the top tier? If Tommy Moyes was in charge, you'd be putting the contract in front of him, saying, "Come on, son, sign it. You know you want."
Yeah,
to.
I'd be saying, "Yeah, look, we really like you. You're a good centre back.
Yeah,
and we like what you've done whenever you've played. You've looked really good. Yeah, he's a very good backup centre back, and he's reliable. If you need him to come in, he's shown it this season already. When he had to come in and cover for Diop, I thought he played really, really well alongside Ogbonna, and he's been unlucky. So I'd have no problem. If I found out today that he'd signed a new 3-year deal at the club, I'd be absolutely fine with that.
Yeah, no, I get that. That's fair enough, Tom. Next one on the list, Saeed Benrahma.
Yeah, look, this is another fairly easy one. He only signed in the summer, 25 years old, looks a really good player, had a good game again last night against Leeds. So this is a simple, easy one. He definitely has a long-term future at the club.
Boom. Straight in. Top shelf material. Okay, next on the list, Jared Bowen.
Again, not having his best season, Jared. But he was better last season. I think he's in a little bit of a slump. Now, unfortunately, we have a certain section of fans that are very reactionary. And some of them are out on Twitter now already starting to come down on Bowen. But yeah, he's in a little bit of a slump. It happens to everybody. But he's been really, really good. So this will be a season. I think he'll feel like he hasn't done himself justice, but I think he will bounce back. I think we've seen already the quality is there. He's had some brilliant games for us, particularly last season. I thought he was fantastic, and I think he will. He's young; he'll bounce back, and I think he'll be fantastic for us again. So yeah, again, he's young. He's a good player. He's going nowhere. He has, and Moyes clearly likes him. I think so. He's got a long-term future at the club as well.
Another top shelf player. In we go. Okay, next on the list, Tom, Vladimir Soufal.
What a man. What a man. He's been a revelation, an absolute revelation. 5 million quid. He arrived at a time when we were mostly playing the wing-back system. And Fredericks had been in that position and actually was playing very well, Fredericks, in the early games of the season. Fredericks' form was really good. Soufal came in, Fredericks got an injury. Soufal came in, started out playing in the wing-back position, a right wing-back, where I thought he was doing okay. He was doing enough to say, okay, you'll do, until Fredericks comes back. And he looked to me like a £5 million player who was doing an okay job at right wing back. And then Moyes switched to flat back 4, and he went into his natural position as an orthodox right back. And since he did that, he's been absolutely sensational. Just a different player from what we saw initially at wing back. He's up there for Hammer of the Year. There's no question in my mind. He's in the running for Hammer of the Year as an orthodox right back. He's been absolutely brilliant and doesn't look like a £5 million player. He looks like a £40 million player, a right back. To me, he's been one of the very best right backs in the league this season. So you'd have to be crazy to think anything other than long-term future at the club.
Okay, he's going on the top shelf with the other three.
Yeah, if
In
you
he
were
goes.
to tell me, if you were to tell me, look, he's definitely here for the next 3 seasons, I'd be delighted with that.
Absolutely. I mean, he's still only 28, so you could
he's in
get another
prime.
3 years out of him. Yeah, no problem at all. And you're right, I agree. Right wing back, I don't think it's quite the role for him. But right back, an orthodox right back, oh my word. You're right. He looks far, far more than a £5 million player. It's and absolutely he should be in the conversation as far as Hammer of the Year is concerned, no doubt in my mind. Next one is his opposite fullback partner, Aaron Cresswell.
Yeah, Aaron Cresswell. I love Cress. What a servant he's been. Signed him from Ipswich. He's played a number of seasons now. Had a wobble where at right back where it looked like he'd kind of gone on the decline, and where his days were kind of numbered. But he's really bounced back. Funnily enough, his bounce back started when Moyes went with that wing-back system and he played him as the left-sided centre-back. He seemed to really excel there, and he just got better and better and better, and it looked like it was a much more suitable position for him than orthodox left-back. And he was putting some of those deep balls in to the box from deeper, which were absolutely unbelievable deliveries. So he regained his form and his confidence, and now his form, even as an orthodox left back, which of course he is, has held since he moved from centre back. So he's proving me wrong. Frankly, I thought he was kind of past it and that he needed immediate replacing. So I've been really impressed with Cresswell. He's been tremendous this season, but. Time waits for no man, and unfortunately that's the case for Cressy. He's not getting any younger, so I think he's got 1 or 2 seasons left at the club. Now that's not to say I think he has 1 or 2 seasons left as a starting left back. I would actually like to see us find his replacement this summer if possible. But at the club, I certainly think he's got 1 or 2 seasons in there. He's very experienced. He's a leader. He'd still be great to have in the squad and around the club for another season or 2 after this one. But yeah, he's coming towards the end of the time where he should be starting week in, week out, I think.
How much of the problem, Tom, do you think was... I appreciate that maybe sort of like, as you say, he's getting a little bit older. Maybe he's lost half a yard of pace. But how much of the problem do you think was maybe a sort of like his confidence being knocked? Because the guy that was playing in front of him, i.e. Felipe Anderson, defensively wasn't giving him as much protection as Pablo Fornals has.
It's difficult to say, really. I think definitely there's definitely a case to be made. There's no question. I think when Anderson was out in that left wing, or when Matawaku played there, definitely defensively, those two, are not good. So I think having Fornals in front of him has definitely helped. But also, I think having Moyes as manager has been huge for him this season. The organisation that Moyes puts into it is astounding, and so he's better protected as well in general. So I think it's all helped. I think Moyes has been the major factor in the turnaround, if I'm honest. Definitely, like, he's getting extra protection, and Pellegrini wasn't so hot defensively. Let's be honest.
No.
we conceded goals for fun under Pellegrini. We were far too open. We were just too easy to create chances against, too easy to score against. We took some pastings under Pellegrini, too regularly, and not just by Man City either. The likes of Burnley would stick 3 and 4 past us, and Brighton would be sticking 3 and 4 past us. It just wasn't good enough. So I think obviously that went a long ways towards Cresswell not looking so good. But fair play to Moyes. He's come in, he's reorganised everything, and he's got the team playing brilliantly defensively. And it's been a massive help to Cresswell, no doubt. It's reinvigorated Cresswell, being in this is Moyes' system. So, but still, look, he's not getting any younger, and I really would love to see us go out and spend some money on getting a younger left back in for next season. But if not next season, we have to absolutely do it for the following season. So 1 or 2 seasons left for Cress at West Ham, I think.
Yeah. No, I think that's entirely fair, Tom. Next one on the list. Now, this isn't actually technically a West Ham player, but we're going to go with it. Craig Dawson.
Craig Dawson, what can you say? He's just been a revelation. Just been absolutely brilliant since he came. Nobody saw it coming, I don't think. I think anyone who says, yeah, I knew it'd be brilliant, is telling a bit of a porky, I think. But yeah, look, he is a nailed-on starting centre-back now. He's a real leader on the pitch. You can see it whether Ogbona's there or not. And he's vitally important to us now in that centre-back role that Ogbonna isn't there, because obviously Ogbonna is a real leader as well. And when him and Dawson are there, to have two of them there leading, you see the way Dawson's always talking to people.
Yeah.
Talking to players around him, getting them into position, giving them instructions where to be, what to do, advising them on what he's seeing in front of him. Just a real leader. I've been so impressed with Dawson. And he's not as old, actually, as I thought he was. He's 30, isn't he? So,
yes, he is, yes.
So it's a tough one here because I love him so much, but I feel like if I say 3 or more seasons, I'm kind of pushing the boat out maybe a little bit with Dawson. I don't think I'm as much as I love him, I would love to think he could keep this form up for 3 or more seasons. I have my doubts. So I think he'll have to go into the next category down. I think 1 or 2 seasons. If we could get next season and the season after out of Dawson, I think we'll have done really well. That's if we sign him permanently, obviously.
Well, that's it. I mean, sort of like the first season we've had him on loan, and then £3 million or whatever the fee is going to be. If we could get 2 more seasons, I think that would be fantastic business if you look at it.
It would be tremendous business if we could get this Craig Dawson for a couple more seasons. Yeah, that would be amazing. And I don't see at 30, I don't see why. Like, he's a centre back, so obviously they have a longer shelf life, than outfield player, than midfielders or forwards generally. So there's no reason whatsoever that between now and the next 2 seasons that he couldn't continue his form, and we could revisit the Craig Dawson question again after that, maybe.
Absolutely. Things are always changing. Next on the list, his current centre-back partner, Issa Diop.
Oh, this is a tough one with Diop. There's a lot to weigh up with Diop, and this is definitely not one of the gimmies. This is a tougher one. I have to say, I'm still really unsure about him. I'm really unsure about him. So he has to go into the not sure category for me. On the plus side, he is still young. He does have games where he looks very, very good. And he looks like a young player that could become a really great centre-back in time. But there are other games where he looks really wobbly, really shaky, where he's kind of all over the place. He seems to lose concentration. I saw it again last night. He lost concentration and allowed, I can't remember who it was, maybe Rafinha, allowed Rafinha in behind him because he lost concentration. And I was like, oh, Jesus, Diop, what are you doing? You can't switch off like that. And there's other times where he seems really clumsy, I don't quite know what to make of it. He looks like a player to me that could still go either way. He could push on and become really, really great, or he could just become kind of second so-so centre back that you can't ever quite trust. So I'm still really unsure about Diop. I'm still on the fence with him, I have to say.
Yeah, no, I think to myself, this is his 3rd season, if I remember rightly, and even now you're sort of looking at him. I know he's in the first team at the minute, but the moment that Ogbona's ready to go, Diop's back on the bench, isn't he?
Yeah, basically.
And that's the thing. He's still not really a first choice pick. And yet, out of the 4 centre backs we've got, he's probably the best technical footballer. Yet he's definitely not the best defender. So
yeah, it's true. Like technically, yeah, he's very good. You saw him carrying the ball out of defence a couple of times against Leeds last night, and it's great to see. He looks like he's the kind of centre back that Pep Guardiola should be drooling over. He should have everything. This guy, he should have absolutely everything. So I really hope he kicks on now and gets his head down and improves and becomes the centre back that he should be. He still has time on his side, but he's getting to the point now where at West Ham, you start to wonder if he's going to do it. It's starting to look like this might not be the club where he's going to do it. It could happen for him elsewhere, where he goes to another club and then he kicks on and does become, we're talking about him in 5 years' time as this unbelievably brilliant centre-back, French international. But I just really have my doubts from what I've seen from him at West Ham. It's just he's too flaky for me. He's just too hit and miss.
Yeah. No,
just to interject on that one, did either of you see a news article? I'm not sure. It certainly wasn't one of the bigger, the bigger newspaper ones, suggesting that we could have our the solution to our defensive midfield positions, i.e., the Rice and Souček injury issue. In Diop, they likened him to being the same sort of player in his gait and his
physique
as a young Vieira. They compared him to a younger type Vieira, the kind of gut busting runs that he can do, the way he can bring the ball out, as you said there, Tommy. He kind of did it a couple of times in the game last night. Would it be? I mean, we know that Moyes has an ability to turn players from one position to another. He did it with Arnautovic. He's done it now again with Antonio. And you look back at his Everton, he had an ability to spot a player that could play, into another position. What are your thoughts on that? Could he be the answer to that kind of that central defensive midfield role that you've got Rice and Souček in there? If we do find, obviously, I'm not saying now, God forbid we end up with an injury to one of those two guys, and we, the last thing you want to be doing is testing the waters, if you will, with Diop. But would it be something that come the summer and pre-season and the training camps, would it be something that you think might be an idea?
Yeah, I definitely do. I'm actually really intrigued by that idea, Duke. I actually think you might be onto something there. I think he has all the attributes to become a really rangy box-to-box midfielder. Now, I know you spoke about Vieira. Obviously, he's not fit to lace Vieira's boots.
No, not at all. No.
Vieira was just world-class, just an amazing player. But he wouldn't have to be that good. I think, it's Vieira, while yes, he was kind of box to box, he was more of an orthodox central midfielder. And he played a lot of his time beside Emmanuel Petit, who was kind of the sitting, holding midfielder at Arsenal team. So he had the freedom to kick on Vieira and get in and around the box. He had a good shot on him as well. He scored some lovely goals, Vieira.
We know from the Wimbledon game that Diop has that shot on him.
Yeah, I mean, look, it would take time. Like you say, it would be a refit, So, but it is very intriguing because I'm not sure about him at centre back, but I would be intrigued. I mean, if God forbid, if we were to lose, Declan Rice or Souček for a few weeks or something. I'm not sure if I would chuck him in there right now because he doesn't have the experience for that. I think I'd rather, because we've got no one else there, I think I'd probably drop Fornells back in there. But certainly, I think it's intriguing enough that I'd like to see it. I would love to see Moyes actually say to Diop, listen, how do you feel about we converting you into defensive midfielder? So, no, I don't know how he would feel about that because he might think I'm never getting a game. Because Rice and Souček just very, very rarely get injured or miss a game. So he's probably thinking, well, I'm never getting a game if I'm the backup.
I'm not moving. Yeah,
I'm the backup for those two. I think I'll stay at centre back. Thanks.
Maybe play him as a striker.
Oh Christ! I think I never want to see him up front ever. No.
I am being facetious. Don't worry.
Yeah, I know. We heard those that talk about Moyes had tried him up there in training. It doesn't seem to have lasted long, so that probably tells you all you need to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's intriguing because, like you say, the physique-wise, he looks like he has all the attributes and the athleticism and rangy, but I don't think it will happen.
No, I think you're right. Lucas Fabianski's next on the hit list, Tom.
Okay, he's going in 1 or 2 seasons for me.
Yeah.
He's having a bit of a revival this season, Fab.
He is.
Didn't have a great season last season. Not that he was bad, but he didn't kind of maintain the standards of his first season. Let's put it that way, where he was sensational. He was still good. Don't get me wrong. He was still a good, reliable keeper last season. But this season, he's really kicked on again, and he's coming back to some of his best form for us. And he's not overly old for a keeper. So, but again, 1 or 2 seasons, I think we have to start looking at replacing him now. In an ideal world, we would replace him this summer, in my opinion, but not kick him out the club. So, obviously, this isn't a question of first team or not. This is a question of are they at the club or not, right? So, certainly, I would keep him at the club. I don't think there's any reason to move him on, even if we do bring in another keeper this summer. For example, if we were to bring in Ramsdale or something, I think Fabianski has earned the right to fight for his spot as the number 1 keeper again next season, even if we do bring someone else in. So, but he's only got 1 or 2 more with us, I think, realistically.
You mentioned Ramsdale. Would he be your first pick?
No. I just threw it out there because we've been linked with him.
You probably saw my face when you said his name. I was like,
yeah. No, I just remember it's a recent link,
Yeah.
So I just threw the name out there. I wasn't, we can have a serious discussion about keepers or whatever, but we're not here for that, I guess. But no, my point was just, my point was just no, Ramsdale I'm not a big fan of. So I wouldn't like to see us bring him in, but to answer your question, Rob. But I think realistically Fab's got 1 or 2 seasons, 2 seasons tops.
Yeah, I agree. Moving on, we got Pablo Fornals.
Love Pablo. We spoke about this before, the workhorses of the team. Runs his socks off. There's a section of the fan base that don't like him for some reason, and are always digging him out on Twitter. But Pablo does a brilliant job for the club. Absolutely brilliant. He's a go-to guy for Moyes. When Moyes needs someone in certain games where he said, right, he calls on Pablo, like the away at City. Away at City, he's right, Pablo, you're up, because he knows this guy will do a job. And I actually think Pablo's form is really good at the moment as well. I think he's having a really good season. And I love the guy, just again, works his socks off. He never stops running. He's all over the pitch. You never know where Pablo Fornals is going to turn up on the pitch, in our own box, in the opposition box, out on the wings, getting after people, closing down. He was doing it again against Leeds last night, chasing hopeless causes. And he has a lot of ability. I mean, I was sickened when that effort came back off the crossbar, against Leeds last night. That would have been
one of the goals of the season, wouldn't it?
Oh, just unbelievable. He's one of my favourite players at the club. Love Fornals, and I really hope he's going to be with us for a long time. Still young as well. It does a brilliant job for us. And Moyes clearly really, really rates him. Long-term future, no question for me on this one.
Top shelf material. He's in. Next one, Ryan Fredericks.
Ryan Fredericks. I'll tell you with Ryan, I'm in the not sure because I know a lot of people will just say see ya. right? Because they don't rate him or whatever. That's fine. I can understand that point of view. But the reason I'm still unsure is because we do play the wing-back system quite a lot as well. We switch
Yep.
between the two systems.
Mhm.
And I still remember earlier in the season, before Kafal, that Fredericks started the season as that right wing-back and was actually playing really well. And let's be honest, look, we can't replace everybody this summer. And if he is someone who can come in, particularly if he's going to come in as a sub to replace Kafal later on in games with his pace, I still think he has something to offer. I know he's not the most talented in the world, but we can't replace everyone in the summer. We still have to hold on to some of these players, the squad players. So I'm still in the not sure category at this moment in time. I'm still humming and hawing a little, I find, on Fredericks. I'm not one of the fans that thinks he's complete shit and just wants him out the door. I don't think he is complete shit, to be honest. I still think he can offer something in that wing-back position. Okay, he's not the greatest defensively if he has to play as an orthodox right-back, but we have Johnson who can do that if needs be. But I would rather see him replace Kufel at right wing-back than Johnson, for example, because I think Johnson plays better on the left. So I'm still unsure as to whether I'd be looking to move him on or not this summer. So I'm still unsure about Fredericks.
So he's going in the not sure pile, Tom.
Yeah, I'm putting him in the not sure. Haven't made my mind up on Fredericks yet.
No, that's fair enough, mate. He's in. Next one, Ben Johnson.
Yeah, really good young player, I think. You can still see he's quite raw. He still has a ways to go before he'd be the finished article, but I do see improvement in him. Now, obviously, look, his improvement isn't going to be astronomical because I think to improve massively season on season, you have to be playing a lot. The way we've seen Rice improve, since he made his debut, is because Rice has been just put in game after game after game, and he's come along massively. I think Johnson will get there. It will just be a slower burn because he doesn't play every week. A lot of games he doesn't start. He comes off the bench. Every once in a while, he will start a game, particularly in the wing-back system. He tends now to play as the left wing-back because Matawaku is injured. So it's still a slower burn for him than it was for like Declan. Not that I suspect he's be as talented as Declan, but I still have a lot of hope for him. I've liked a lot of what I've seen from him. Still raw. Still, obviously, you can see sometimes he makes mistakes, but that's to be expected, and you have to allow for that. But from what I've seen of him so far, I've really liked mostly. So I still think Ben Johnson will prove himself. I still think he has a long-term future at the club. So I'm going to go 3 seasons or more.
Top shelf material again. Then we come to Manuel Lanzini.
Oh, this is a tough one as well for me.
Yeah.
Because I really like him. I'm quite fond of Lanzini. But I have to be pragmatic on this. I'd love to be able to... My like for him wants me to put him in the not sure and mull it over some more because since he's come to the club, I think we have seen at times where he's been absolutely fantastic for us. But the pragmatist in me realizes that it was some time ago now, and I just don't see realistically that he has a future at the club. I think he is one of the players that will be out the door in the summer, and I can understand why Moyes is going to move him on. And I think I agree. As much as I like him, as much as my heart kind of saying to me, maybe hang tough on that one and put him in the not sure for a while. I think the realist in me realizes that his time is probably up at the club and that we need to move him on. I think we have seen the best of him at West Ham. I don't think we'll see the 15-16 Lanzini again. He hasn't ever been the same since that horrible injury. And I don't, hand on heart, think he will be. So unfortunately, as much as I like Manuel and wish him well wherever he goes, unfortunately, it's a see you from me.
Yeah, I think most people have reacted when I've said Manuel Lanzini with like that, exactly like you did, that sort of sort of thing before they then give their answer. I think everybody's got a lot of time and respect for Manuel Lanzini and what he's brought to the table over the course of his 5 years or so with us. But yeah, you're right. He's not been the same since that injury. I mean, Duke and I have discussed it. You know, he seems to be half a yard, half a second away from where he was and away from where he needs to be a success in the Premier League. And that is the difference between success and failure. It is that finer margin. And unfortunately, more often than not, he's the wrong side of it.
Yeah, unfortunately for Manu, he's a what if kind of player. What if that injury never happened? You know, right before he was making his debut at the World Cup for Argentina, he was nailed on to start that game. If that injury hadn't happened, I mean, who knows what could have been?
Yeah,
it's a bit of a it is a bit of a sickener, you know, really.
I mean, there's nothing to stop him. If you know, like you say, he's on your senior pile there. There's nothing to stop this lad going off elsewhere and absolutely nailing it. You know, in a different league. You know, he might go to Spain, might go Italy where he gets a little bit more time on the ball. You know, it's I'm not saying it's a lot slower game, but it's a slower game than the Premier League. You touched on it. I think Noble mentioned it earlier in the video that he's put out. It's a younger man's game in the Premier League now. It's a lot quicker. You know, the average ages of the Premier League squads are now coming down. So there's nothing to say he doesn't go elsewhere. He doesn't go out to Spain. He doesn't go to Italy, and you know, absolutely smashes it. And I couldn't think of anyone that I'd love to see go off. And if he can't make it with us, to go on and just absolutely rock up another club in another country and just absolutely smash it out of the park. I love Manu, and if he does go in the summer, I wish him he goes with all my best. You know, he's a smashing player.
Yeah, I think you speak for all the fan base there, Duke, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Next, the other Lone Ranger, Jesse Lingard.
I mean, what an impact he's had since he came in. Just been absolutely brilliant. He could be the reason we do something crazy and do something unthinkable and finish in the top four. You know, he's a difference maker. He's the kind of player that can transform you. He's been unbelievable. And I mean, look, he's long-term future, 3 seasons or more. That's a no-brainer. Love for him to be here for another 3 seasons. Just so talented. And has just been tremendous. So don't need to say much about that, do I? Really, it's a bit another kind of a no-brainer.
it's a nailed on.
I think if that was going in the senior pile, we'd have all called for the men in white coats,
and rightly so. Yeah,
yeah. No, definitely, he's in there, top shelf material. Next one, David Martin.
David Martin, what a story! Just brilliant. You know, we came in, you know, it had never been Premier League as far as I'm aware.
Don't think so, no.
Grew up as Alvin's boy, West Ham fan, probably dreamed all of his life that maybe one day, you know, he could play for West Ham, get signed by the club, then has to make his debut at Stamford Bridge against Chelsea, keeps a clean sheet in a win. Brilliant goal from Cresswell that day, by the way. And then his dad's in the stand and runs up and hugs him and he's crying. And just what a story. Just fairy tale stuff for him. And it would bring a tear to a glass eye, you know. So, yeah, brilliant for him. And I'm going to surprise some people because we're talking about being at the club. No, this isn't about first 11. It's about being at West Ham. I'm putting him into 3 seasons or more. I would love for him to be on our coaching staff and as an emergency keeper. You know, I'd love to see him stay at the club. You know, he's very, very popular. Well, you know, he's a great guy. You know, he's great for morale. You know, he's a very kind of one of those shiny, happy people, you know. So I'd love to see him stay around the club and be a training groundkeeper, have a coaching role, work with, you know, Nathan Trott and those, help those out. So I'd love to think that David would have a long-term future at the club. Obviously, he'd get very few appearances, and he'll be phased out of the first team squad entirely. Probably he'll just be on the training ground working with kids and working with younger keepers, and with maybe on the training ground with the senior keepers, putting them through their paces and stuff. But I would love to see David Martin stay at the club for the foreseeable future, to be honest.
He's in there. So next on the list, Arthur Matawaku.
King Arthur, another guy. It's impossible not to love, isn't it? Yeah, I really like Arthur. Here's the thing. It's another one I'm struggling with. He has a lot to recommend him, particularly when he's played as a wing back. I frankly don't ever want to see him playing left back for us. Defensively, he's just not good enough. But as a wing back, as a left wing back, he played pretty well. His form was really good. He was a different player. So I think if he's going to be here, it would be no harm to have him here in that left wing back role. Particularly as Johnson is still, developing. We're not quite sure how far Johnson can go. So I wouldn't be getting rid of Matawaku right now. I think he's still worth having at the club as a wing back.
Yeah.
So he did play very well there before his injury. He caused defenses a lot of problems, and he's very skillful. He's got really quick feet. The problem with him I have is that from box to box he's absolutely fantastic in open play, but then he gets in and around the edge of the box and he almost invariably messes it up, and it's incredibly frustrating. Really frustrating. He can do brilliantly right up to that moment where he has to put that final ball in.
Yeah.
And then his cross is horrible, or he makes the wrong decision, or he misplaces his pullback or something, and he's really frustrating for me. His end product is a problem. So I'm going to put him in the not sure. I'm not sure if I would keep him or not at this point, to be honest. I would make a decision maybe at the end of the season. I think, frankly, I would let fate decide with Matawaku. I think I wouldn't kind of chuck him on the transfer list, but if a bid came in and it was decent, I would take it.
What would you consider decent, Tom?
I think actually there's probably enough people out there that like Matawaku and what they see from him, that he has a bit of game. I think we could get 10 million or something for, and that I think it would be reasonable to look for 10 to 12 million for Matawaku, because he clearly does have ability and his form was very good before his injury for us. So I think it's still fresh in people's minds. He's very skillful. So I think we could sell him and get 10 or 12 million for him. And frankly, I think if we got a solid offer like that, I would take it. But if an offer didn't come in, I'd be like, okay, we'll keep him for next season.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Now, this is where I change tack, because I've been going alphabetically, but I'm going to come at it from a different direction now, and you'll find out why, ladies and gentlemen, at the end. Andre Yamalenko.
See ya. Yeah, he's really
Nobody
bad
wants
injury.
This to keep this boy.
No, and I don't think it's personal. I don't think anyone in the club has any personal issues with Yarmo. He's actually very likable chap. I like Yarmo a lot. He's very smiley, happy guy. He seems. I'm sure he's popular with his teammates. But look, he's the wrong side of 30. He's unreliable as regard. I don't think he can start games for us anymore. Quite frankly, I don't think he's got 90 minutes in him. The very best we can expect for him is as an impact sub. With 15 minutes to go, he can still cause trouble to opposition defenses in those final 15 minutes as they're tiring. But he's not a player we can really start and get 90 good minutes out of anymore, I don't think. Plus now he's got this really bad injury. I think as much as I like him on a personal level and I wish him well wherever he goes, again, it's a see ya from me. I think his time is up now.
Yeah, no, he's in there. He's in the bin with the other two. So moving on, the potato salad king, Thomas Souček.
Look, this is as easy as it gets. Long-term future, 3 seasons or more. I don't even have to explain myself.
No, nice and straightforward. I mean, 26 million. I think Barcelona want to sort of get in for.
They can
Really?
jog on.
Yeah. I don't know what
That's
planet
being
they're
polite.
living on. I really don't. I mean, 11 goals in a calendar year for a deep-lying midfielder that we got for 19 million, and they want us to sort of take a £7 million profit. Really?
Yeah, that's
Unbelievable.
That's pathetic. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be saying he's at least double. Moving on, Zandy Silva.
Zandy Silva. I don't see it, if I'm completely honest. I just don't see it. I think he's another player that we brought into the kind of youth team from abroad. 9 out of 10 of those, or probably more even, don't work out. That they end up moving on. We've seen it time after time after time with players. You hope it works out and they turn out to be absolutely top class and brilliant, but I don't think that's going to happen with Zandy, unfortunately. It's a see ya for me. I think it's time for him to find a club where he can play every week at a lower level in a different European league, maybe back home in Portugal, and work his way up. Because I don't think he's a player that for us that's going to go into a first team Premier League 11 and prove himself there. I think he's going to be one of the slower burners as well. If he's going to make it, he's going to have to work his way up through the leagues. I don't think he's good enough for Premier League.
No. He's currently on loan out in Greece, Aris Thessaloniki. If I've just mangled that to anyone that's watching that speaks Greek, I do apologise.
No, I think you did quite well with that one, mate.
Oh, thank you very much, Duke.
We'll ask Stell and see what he thinks.
Yeah. He'll soon tell us. Moving on, we've got Declan Rice.
Yeah, look, this is in the Souček mold again. It's a no-brainer. 3 years or more, don't have to explain it.
No, absolutely not. Bang, he's in. Top shelf material. So, next one. I think I know where this one's going as well. Winston Reed.
Unfortunately, it's a see ya. Yeah. Again, another player I love. A player who was, let's not forget, was absolutely brilliant for us those first few seasons. Absolutely brilliant. Just a tremendous centre back. Again, has been really unfortunate with injuries. But unfortunately, his time at West Ham is up. But I think Brentford will sign him permanently in the summer. So I think he does have a future as a player. He's not going to retire. I think he's doing really well at Brentford for them. Their fans are really happy with what they've seen from him, and I'm not surprised because he does have a lot of talent and, of course, a lot of experience. So if he can stay injury free, he'll do a great job for somebody. Unfortunately for him, it just won't be at West Ham.
No, fair enough, mate. No problem at all. Next one on the list, we're down to the last three. Darren Randolph.
Darren Randolph, I'm not sure. I'll put him in the not sure category. The reason being, like I said, I would love to see us bring in a keeper in the summer. I'm not sure if it's on David Moyes' wish list, but for me, I would bring in a goalkeeper in the summer that I would expect would force Fabianski onto the bench. I think we've got to start doing that. And I think now is the time. In that scenario, Randolph, I think, would very possibly be out the door. It just depends on Nathan Trott, because I still don't really know what we've got in Nathan Trott. So it would depend on what my opinion of Nathan Trott would be if I was behind the scenes and seeing him in training every week. If I thought Nathan Trott was really good, I would bring in a keeper in the summer, and Fabianski and Trott would be the backup keepers, 2 and 3. But I don't know about Trott, so I don't know if I can afford to get rid of Randolph, because he might need to be the 3. So I'll put him in the not sure, because he could be the 3 in my team next season, but he might be out the door if I think Trott is really good and he's the 3. So in the not sure for me.
Yeah, I think this is where Trott, we needed to send him out in the summer on loan, and I think we've dropped the ball on that one, in my opinion. Don't know what you boys think.
He should have spent a season on loan somewhere where he was going to start and get a season under his belt, and we can get a proper assessment of him, because we still don't have a clue with Trot what we've got there.
No. Second to last one, Angelo Ogbonna.
Yeah. Okay, again. Yeah, it's Oggy's brilliant. Oggy is absolutely brilliant. What a season he's having. Before the injury, obviously, but what a season he's having. It just sometimes you watch him in games and you just think, this guy is just unbelievable. His reading of the game is second to none. He's just absolutely superb. One of my favourite players at the club, a huge leader on the pitch. Love Ogbonna, and he's a bit of a spring chicken. He's not looking like he's waning at all, really, is he? He doesn't look like he's missing a step. But again, I think you have to be pragmatic. At his age, does he have another 3 or more seasons at this level, at the level he's playing? I would have to have my doubts. So with Ogbonna, I think realistically, we're talking 1 or 2 seasons. No, I suspect it's 2 rather than 1. I suspect there's another couple of good seasons in him, but I think that would probably be pushing the boat out after that. Now, he might belie his age. Some players do it and are tremendous centre-backs at 36 and 37. Oggy might do that. But generally, that doesn't happen. It's only the real kind of greats that tend to still be great at 37, 38. But we'll see. But realistically, I think over the next couple of seasons, we probably will have to move him on.
No, I think you're spot on there, Tom. Last one on the list. Now I've left the best till last, and it actually comes as we record this on the day that the club have announced that this man has been given an extra year. And next year, he's calling it a day once that's all done. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. West Ham, the club captain, 500-plus games, Mark Noble.
Yeah, this is an easy one as well, actually. Yeah, this is a 1 or 2 seasons. Even just before the announcement, even if that announcement hadn't come, that next season is his last, this is still where I'd put him. Because he can't retire after this season. There have been no fans in the stadiums. He deserves the biggest, most raucous possible send-off that a player has ever gotten from West Ham fans. And that means it has to be in the final game, home game next season, in front of a packed house. He deserves that. He has to have that. So this is absolutely correct that he has 1 more season and gets the send-off he deserves in front of the fans, and that we honour him the way he deserves to be honoured.
Oh dear. What the hell happened there?
That could possibly be a battery, or that could possibly be his internet. Let's listen. Let's see what happens. He could come back. He might not.
Brilliant. This is brilliant.
This is what happens. What happens. Let's not pretend in the slightest. I mean,
I'm not doing a retake. It's going out like this, ladies and gentlemen. If Tommy comes back, Tommy doesn't, this is how it's going out. We've spent 1 hour and 9 minutes on this.
Brilliant. Absolutely fantastic.
At least we managed to finish it. It would have been terrible if we'd have got halfway through and dropped out. We've got to the end.
That's the thing there. We've got to the final name. Let me see if I can find him on my...
Have you got him on Twitter?
I believe I have. I'm just going on.
Oh, dear. You couldn't make it up, ladies and gentlemen.
You couldn't make it up, could you? No.
But, I'm just trying to see if I can find him on...
I can't. I've got him on Twitter.
Hello. No, he's here. Hold on. Here he is. Oh, it's going
We
round and
have
round
the
and round.
circle of death.
We've got the donut of doom, ladies and gentlemen. It's going round and round and round. Oh dear.
Come
Come on, Tom. Don't let me down, mate. Come on. Give the box a kick. Oh dear. There he is. Yes, he's here.
There he is.
Tom, what happened?
Yeah, sorry about that. My internet dropped out, so I got
It
bumped out. So I don't know what you heard last.
Well, it was
Raucous celebration for his final game.
Celebrations and whatnot, and then it just went.
Yeah, so basically, yeah, that was it. Yeah, obviously, look, 1 or 2 seasons deserves to finish up in front of the faithful at the London Stadium. So, yeah, it's give him the right send off at the end of next season in the final home game.
He deserves it. I mean, listen, he had his testimonial, didn't he, Upton Park, and that was a fantastic day. It was something great to. I was there with the missus and the 2 kids, and it was a fantastic day to have been a part of that. But nothing beats that final competitive match, the atmosphere that he's going to get, the send off that he deserves. I mean, I know that Gonzo and Gio over on Hammer's Chat have gone on about it over the last few weeks, saying that I'm not ready. I'm not ready for him to go. And I'm certainly not ready for him to be going in an empty stadium. So when that news came out earlier, I was on with Jake, West Ham unofficial, and he announced that then, and I was over the moon. Absolutely, I was buzzing that he'd signed that year's contract. I've read the open letter to the fans. I've watched the video that the club have put out on social media, and I have to say I've got goosebumps and I've got a little bit frog in the throat at the thought of that it's coming to an end for him, because he's not been the player that we've known over the last 12 months. Like you say, he's lost a step. He's lost he's not the quickest player there, but he's still Mr. West Ham. So I'm so pleased that he's signed that contract and we get another year with him.
Yep. No, I think that's a sentiment that pretty much all West Ham fans, proper West Ham fans, will echo. I'm fairly sure. So we're just going to quickly run through the list from top to bottom, ladies and gentlemen. So in Tommy's top tier, we've got Balbuena, Benrahma, Bowen, Soufal, Fornals, Johnson, Lingard, Martin, Soucek and Rice. 1 or 2 seasons, we've got Antonio, Cresswell, Dawson, Fabianski, Ogbonna and Noble. Not sure category, we've got Diop, Fredericks, Matawaku and Randolph. And waving goodbye, we've got Anderson, Lanzini, Yamalenko, Silva and Winston Reed. There you go. Oh, hang on. Let's just move you over there. There we go. That's the one. Order is restored. Duke gets the ump, you see, when he's not sitting over there.
Hey, listen, the guest of honour has the placement in the centre of the screen. Guest of honour, that's where they should be. They're not here to see me and you, Gatesy. Whoever's logging in to watch this, they're here to see Tommy's tier. They're not here to see us.
Tom's name's going to be on the broadcast as it goes out, and they'll look and they'll say, "Oh yeah, that'll be good."
Or they'll avoid it. Yeah.
No. We're sending this out pay-per-view. I'm expecting big bucks for this.
Oh Christ! No pressure then.
I didn't tell you that.
If you'd have told me that, if you'd have told me before we recorded, I'd have been far more controversial.
That'll be. I'll tell you what. That'll be the director's cut, Tom.
Yeah. Well, next time I'll know better.
We nearly had to do a recap.
Yeah. Do you want to just scrub this and start again? I'll just say some outlandish stuff.
I'll tell you what. We'll do that one Saturday night, Tom. We'll have a few shandies, and we'll just see what happens.
We'll do it when we can all get together. Some weekend in London and for a game, and we'll sit round the table in the pub and we'll do it.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what, I'll make the announcement now, Rob, Tom. I got an email at 10:30 yesterday evening that my pub will be one of the ones that opens its gardens on the 12th of April. So I'm going back to work with my pub being open on the 12th of April. I'm absolutely buzzing. We can have the garden open. So, I'm so looking forward to it. You know, we got the Euros later on this year as well. So, I'm absolutely buzzing. So that's exclusive news that's coming out on this video now. So when this airs, that's it.
Oh, fantastic, mate. Well done. Great news for you. You know, it must have been a unbelievably difficult kind of few months. So,
it's been a bit ropey, but we've, listen, there was always light at the end of the tunnel. We always knew we were coming back. I mean, Gatesy knows. In fact, you can go let George know now that he's coming back to work, Gatesy.
Yep.
You know, we always knew there's not many other pubs local to me that can cater for families like we can cater. So there was never any issue with me that my company were going to, get rid of the pub, sell it because it's a quick and easy buck, if you will. We were always coming back. We always knew that there was a light at the end of the tunnel. It was just a matter of when. And you know what, with the vaccine and everything else, it's just brighter times ahead now. Knowing that the pub's going to be open in 5 weeks, I've got something really to look forward to now. So yeah, really, really excited.
Yeah, happy days.
Well, happier days ahead, hopefully. Gentlemen, thank you indeed for your assistance. Tommy, it's been an absolute pleasure, my friend.
Yeah, listen, thanks for having me on, and best of luck with the channel. And obviously, I'll subscribe immediately now that I know that this is a thing. So I'll be interested to see other people's lists as well. Actually, it'll be interesting to watch and see I'm sure some of them will have differing opinions to me on a few players. So it'll be it'll be interesting. So
I ended up with no goalkeepers, Tom. I turfed Martin Randolph and Fabianski out on their rear rolls. I think I only ended up with Nathan Trott, didn't I, Casey? It was the only people that I had left, and that's because I had no one else.
So we're going all out on. You're going all out on keepers this summer, Duke.
They were gone.
I've done so many of these now. I've lost count and if you ask me who goes where, do you know the only person that I think I can definitely say has been in the senior pile every single time has been Yamalenko.
Well, he was the other one that I mentioned earlier when Tommy put down and we were talking about Anderson and the wages and trying to get them gone. He was the other one that I mentioned earlier when I said that's going to be the problem to get rid of Yamalenko. I can just see that having to be a tear up of the contract. I can't see us getting a transfer fee for him when his wages are so high. I really can't.
The only thing we can hope for really with the likes of Anderson maybe and Yamalenko is a mutual consent.
Yeah, without doubt.
Fingers crossed for that. Right, okay, I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. But before I do, I'm going to finish as I started. Ladies and gentlemen, Isla's Army. Isla Caton is a 6-year-old girl that is fighting neuroblastoma, which is a childhood cancer. There is no treatment for this on the NHS. Therefore, her family have got to cart her all around the world for treatment. Very, very expensive, very, very stressful. And in the middle of a global pandemic, it's less than ideal. She needs help, guys and girls. It's as simple as that. So anything that you can contribute, whether it's £1, whether it's £10, whatever it may be, all donations gratefully received with thanks. And if you seriously can't, then fair enough, not a problem. But we ask you just to share this and raise some awareness and keep the momentum behind trying to get a few quid behind Isla Family going. You've got the PayPal, you've got the Just Giving. I thank you very much for your attention. Job done. Okay, we're going to wrap it up there, gentlemen. I'm going to hit end broadcast. Thanks for your time. Oh, and before I go, guys, obviously comment on the video below. Tell us what you think of Tommy's picks. Agree, disagree, reasons why. You can obviously like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon. You'll be notified of any new content as and when we upload it. You can find us at Twitter at Forge Talk and at Facebook. Forge from Iron. I'm Gatesy. That's Duke. The one in the middle is Irish Tommy. Thanks for coming. Come on, you Irons.
Come on, you Irons.